So it's no secret that as we get older, it becomes a lot harder to get and stay in shape. And this is a big thing that I struggled with. So if you're struggling with this, I'm going to share my story and how I overcame it so you can apply that in this new year and finally see that change that you've been wanting to see. Because I know that getting out of shape absolutely sucks, especially for somebody who used to be in shape, who got used to being in shape, and who never had to worry about it a whole lot before. There's some new things you're going to need to learn, just like I had to learn them to be able to get in shape and stay in shape. As you get older, you have more responsibilities, your metabolism isn't the same, your recovery isn't the same, etc. So the first thing that I had to learn as I got older is you can't out-train a bad diet. You see, when you're young, you're so naturally active and your metabolism is so fast and your recovery is so good and you have so much time that all you have to do is just work out. And a lot of times you barely even need to eat healthy or, be mindful of your calorie intake whatsoever. You just lose weight very easily. And I know some of you have been struggling with your weight since you were young, and I'm going to address the same systems and strategies that you can apply to solve that. But for those of you who were effortlessly fit when you were younger, like I was, who got fat as you got older, like I did, I'm going to show you what you need to learn to fix that. So you can't out-train a bad diet anymore. You have to learn how to eat properly, okay? And now I know that for a lot of people can sound discouraging. And I know for some of you, you're like, yeah, whatever, New Year's story, I'm ready to get on a diet. But the thing is, it's not about building a diet. It's about building a nutritional protocol and a sustainable meal plan and system that you can actually stick to. Because a diet is just something temporary that you do, like a car wash to clean off the dirt from your car. But what happens? Your car's going to get dirty again. Versus if there's a way to get your car permanently clean, that would be what a nutritional protocol is, because it's sustainable, where you can actually permanently lose weight. So what that means is you have to understand how calories work, you have to understand how appetite control works, and you have to understand, how the macros work, and you have to understand how to make recipes and meal prep in a way that is sustainable and delicious and satisfies your cravings. Now, I know that might sound like a lot, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy. What I do every single week is I prepare, basic proteins, right? So I prepare my grilled or slow cooked chicken breasts, and oftentimes I prepare ground beef as well. Sometimes I get a little bit of steak from the store as well, like lean steak. There's this really good lean halal grass-fed steak that barely has any fat, which is one of the principles is you do need to, be careful of your fat intake, because that can add a lot of hidden calories very quickly, okay? And so I have those steaks whenever I'm in the mood for a steak. I have my chicken, which is very versatile. You can add a lot of seasonings and sauces to it, depending on what you're feeling like. So that makes it convenient and easy for me, because that's another thing. As I got older, is I had to learn how to make this more time efficient. Like when I was young, I could spend hours and hours on my fitness every day. It didn't matter if I cooked for an hour every single day and worked out for 2 to 3 hours a day. I had the time when I was young, and I had the recovery ability. But now I don't have the time running a business, being a father. I don't have the recovery, even if I had the time to work out that much. So that's another thing I had to learn was time management and how to do it efficiently. What are the things you actually need to do to get you where you need to be at the right pace, right? So, and by the way, there's only so much I can go into in this live. I'm just waiting for my car to be ready right now. But essentially, I do have some in-depth YouTube videos. If you DM me, just go over to my page, either during this live or after this live, hit message, DM me with the word system. I have a free mini course on YouTube on how to do all this, so you can learn each one of the components that you need, whether it's the meal prep, the recipes, whatever it is. And I also have a recipe book. You can DM me with the word recipe, and I'll send you the recipe book, inshallah. 42 pages of amazing recipes for all the classics like fried chicken, biryani, chicken curry. I have butter chicken recipe for clients too, like healthy version, right? But pretty easy to make. So again, I have some YouTube videos where I show how to make like the butter chicken burrito too. So again, all that stuff's on my YouTube. DM me with the word system. But anyways, so I had to learn, how to actually eat properly instead of just eating what I want and being able to burn it off like when I was younger. I had to learn how to time manage to be able to have the time to do all this stuff, as somebody who has other responsibilities now and doesn't just have all the time that you have as like a young person, right? Doing it as a business owner, as a father, everything else. And then I also had to learn how to respect my body's limits. Now, the funny thing is, even when I was young, I kind of had to learn how to respect my body's limits, but my body's limits was much higher. I didn't have to do mobility work. I didn't have to, focus that much on recovery. Recovery was still important, but again, your body can get away with a lot of mistakes and overtraining and lack of stretching and mobility when you're young, versus as you get older and there's more years and miles on your body, so to speak, and also, your hormones are different, your stresses are different, you're sitting a lot more, you're just older in general, right? Everything kind of changes. So you can't overtrain anymore. You have to be very smart about it. Sometimes less is more. You can train up your work capacity, meaning let's say that you can only recover from 3 to 4 workouts per week. You could train yourself to be able to do more over the long term, but that's a very long-term thing. However, back to time efficiency, you might only have time for 3 to 4, which is good news. That's what your optimal recovery is anyways. And the more stress you have, the less recovery you have. This is another thing. When you're young, you can have all the stress that you want. Doesn't matter. You can still train as much as you want. But when you're older, during busy and stressful weeks of work, ironically, some of you completely drop off on the gym, and that's not the right answer. But some of you still try to push really hard, and that's also not the right answer. You have to slightly scale it back while still being consistent when you have high stressors that make it hard for you to recover from your normal volume. And likewise, if you have a little bit extra time, you could push a little extra hard, but don't over push, because it's a tight window, and that has to be established for each person. And you have to be able to read the right cues to establish that. So, you know, one thing that I'm always mindful of today that helps me, that you can use as a diagnostic tool for yourself. When I have a lot of work stress, I default to the minimum viable product, or the minimum, effective amount, the minimum effective dose of working out, which would be, 3 workouts a week, whole body, maybe 45 to 60 minutes. And if I'm really tight on time, I can maybe get it done in 20 to 30 minutes, just supersets, right? That is a great way of doing it. So you get 1 leg exercise, 1 push exercise, 1 pull exercise, you superset it 3 to 5 times. That's like the bare bones 20 to 30 minute workout. And you can even do body weight if you don't even have time to make it to the gym, or you're traveling or whatever. You could do lunges, push-ups, and swimmers. Or if lunges are too much because you're very heavy and it's a lot on your knees, you can do body weight squats. You don't even have to go all the way down. Just stimulate your legs. For push-ups, you can do them on the bed or the wall for those who are really struggling, right? Swimmers, I have videos on my YouTube how to do that. It's a home back exercise. You don't even need a pull-up bar for it. And so this is another way that you can hit your workouts and stay on point during these seasons, right? So that's kind of my default, is like if I'm just absolutely slammed, I have to reduce it to bare bones. However, if I have, a less busy season of work, or I'm able to carve out more time or whatever it is, that's when I like to push up my training a little bit, because I have the time for it and the recovery capacity, where I might train 4 to 5 days a week, and I might spend an hour in the gym, right? Maybe an hour and a half. Usually I don't have time for 2 hours, even if I'm in a great season, but you do what you can, right? And this is very important. You kind of scale it up or scale it down, but you listen to your body, you listen to your schedule. You never go below that 3 times a week workout, never go below that minimum standard, and you never exceed your maximum recoverable volume, even if you have all the time in the world and you're not stressed out anymore. You have to be smart about it and find what those boundaries are for you. So this is what I do to solve that on a daily basis. Now, the next thing I had to learn, I believe this is the 4th thing I had to learn to be fit as I get older, is I have to be mindful and conscious of my step count. When you're young, you're generally very active, to where you kind of naturally get a lot of steps and a lot of activity, where you burn a lot more calories. You don't even have to think about it. You got plenty of time. You're active. You're going doing stuff with your friends on a consistent basis. But when you're older, you're working a lot. You're spending time with the family. You work so much that you're so tired that you're usually passed out on the couch, hang out with family, especially if you're overweight and not eating properly. So obviously, by fixing your diet and your stress, you will have more energy, where you might be more active. You might play with your kids more. That'll burn some calories. But you also have to go for walks. Walks are great for reducing your stress, getting your step count up, burning calories in a low impact way. Because if you go and just do a bunch of cardio, like running and stuff, you usually can't recover from that unless you have great genetics or you're very well conditioned to it when you're older, right? Versus walking, even people in their 60s can walk easily, right? Even the average person in their 60s can start walking, right? So going for walks reduces your stress, increases your calorie burn, boosts your fitness, and helps you to stay active as you get older, okay? If you combine these 4 things, learn how to eat properly, because you can't out-train a bad diet when you're older, okay? Learn how to time manage properly, learn what your limits are, minimum effective dosage versus maximum recoverable dosage of working out, right? And then you're conscious with your step count. You go for walks, you stay active, and you make it a part of your routine. This goes back to the time management side of things. You make it a part of your routine that enriches the other priorities in your life, not just fitness, but helps you with stress management, be in a better mood with your family, helps you have better khushu and be better in your ibadah, because you're fitter and happier and healthier and more energetic because you go for walks, because walking improves your energy levels and reduces your stress. That's how you stay intrinsically motivated with it, regardless whether you've lost the weight or not, and even if you hit a plateau, because it becomes a part of who you are. And I guess that's the 5th thing, is that the habits that you build that help you lose weight have to also enrich your life. Because when you're older, when you're young, you might only have the priority of fitness and school or whatever you were doing when you were in your 20s, right? But when you're older, when you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, you have so many other priorities that it's easy for the habits of fitness to become a secondary priority or your last priority, unless you understand how those things help you in your other areas of life, and unless you've built the right habits to help you in other areas of life. Like, if your idea of fitness that worked for you when you're younger, and I guess that's the 6th thing I had to learn, is that extreme diets don't work anymore. You can't do keto, you can't do intermittent fasting, because that raises your stress hormones way too much. You need to have those carbs in the system, but not too much though, because obviously when you get older, you don't have the insulin sensitivity to tolerate a crazy amount of carbs. So you gotta find the balance. And again, go DM me with the word system, so you get the full nutrition course where I explain this stuff in a lot more detail than I have time for today. My car's almost ready, so I gotta go. But just to kind of close it off, so number 5 was build habits that intrinsically enrich the other areas of your life that also help you in your fitness, such that you're getting multiple ROI, multiple return on investment, multiple benefits from these habits, so that you stay effortlessly consistent with it. Whether weight loss is a priority for you or not, you stay consistent with the habits that incidentally help you lose weight because they help you with your energy levels for your ibadah, your family, and your work. Thus, it supports your other priorities. Therefore, fitness helps you. And that kind of bridges into principle number 6, which is extreme diets don't work anymore. When you're on keto or intermittent fasting, you're super irritable, and this is not conducive for being a patient father or mother with your family, right? It's not conducive to performing at your peak at work because you're tired and irritable, and your stress tolerance goes down because you're not getting in those carbs to control your cortisol, your stress hormone. And then on top of that, the extreme diets, you're eventually going to fall off because it just takes too much willpower. So you have to build a sustainable system. And I guess that's principle number 7, right? So there's a lot of things I had to learn. If you guys enjoyed this type of content where I kind of talk about my story, the suffering that I went through for years trying to figure out how to get fit, trying all the extreme diets and burning out on them and having it ruin my life every single time I try to lose weight, then I get jaded, fall off, get fat again. The whole yo-yo cycle of losing weight, gaining it back, getting more and more jaded, wasting so much time and energy and suffering. And then how I overcame all that pain that you might be experiencing right now. If you like that stuff, please give me some feedback in either the comments or the DMs. Let me know if you liked it, because then I can make more content like this, inshallah. And then also what you're personally struggling with. If you want to DM me, I can go into my DMs and respond, inshallah. Want to help you guys. The purpose of this was to serve somebody who's suffering with what the past version of me suffered with. So I hope that I accomplished my goal and was able to serve you in that, and share this with somebody who needs to hear it. And I'll see you guys in the next one, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.